There comes a moment in life when you realize that the greatest battle you will ever face is not against the world, not against your circumstances, and not even against other people, but against yourself. The real victory lies in mastering the mind, in aligning the body, and in awakening the spirit to its highest potential. The self-mastery training program is not just a practice, it is a path, a journey that leads you to unlock the power already resting within you. Everything begins with awareness. It is the foundation upon which all forms of growth, transformation, and mastery are built. Without awareness, no change can ever take root. It is like walking through life with your eyes closed. You may move, you may even achieve things, but you never truly see. Awareness is the moment you open your eyes to yourself. It is the realization that before you can shape the world outside, you must first understand the world within. Most people live their entire lives reacting to the noise around them. They are pulled in every direction by their emotions, their thoughts, and the expectations of others. They wake up and immediately dive into distraction, messages, screens, noise. Rarely do they pause to ask, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Awareness begins when you start asking these questions. It is the quiet recognition that life does not move you, you move through life. To cultivate awareness, one must first slow down. The modern world celebrates speed, fast decisions, quick results, instant gratification. But the mind cannot observe clearly when it is rushing. Imagine muddy water. The more you stir it, the murkier it becomes. But when you allow it to settle, the water clears and you can finally see the bottom. Your mind works in the same way. When you slow down and observe, you start noticing patterns. The same thoughts that repeat, the same emotions that rise in familiar situations, the same reactions that seem automatic. Awareness is not about judging these patterns. It's about noticing them. The moment you observe something without judgment, you begin to understand it. Consider how you respond to challenge or discomfort. When someone criticizes you, do you react defensively? When fear arises, do you hide behind excuses? When faced with failure, do you give up or reflect? These small, ordinary moments reveal the truth about your inner state. They are mirrors showing you what remains unseen. The more aware you become, the more you realize that most of your suffering comes not from what happens to you, but from how you interpret what happens. Awareness also means becoming conscious of your energy, where it goes, how it's used, and what drains it. Each thought, each emotion, each action carries energy. When you invest it in negativity, comparison, or self-doubt, you weaken your potential. When you direct it toward clarity, gratitude, and purposeful action, you strengthen your being. To master yourself, you must learn to manage this energy wisely. Begin by paying attention to what occupies your mind most of the time. Is it thoughts that uplift you or thoughts that hold you back? Awareness is like light. It reveals the shadows, but it also gives you the power to move beyond them. This journey is not about perfection. It's about progress through understanding. When you become aware, you no longer fight your flaws. You see them, accept them, and slowly transform them. The anger that once controlled you becomes a signal that something inside needs care. The fear that once stopped you becomes a reminder to strengthen your courage. Awareness transforms resistance into insight. It turns every experience, pleasant or painful, into a teacher. There is immense power in simply being present, In a world full of noise, being still even for a moment is revolutionary. Sit in silence and observe your breath, the rise and fall of your chest, the sensation of air entering and leaving your body. You will notice how your mind tries to pull you away, to the past, to the future, to endless distractions. But with practice, you bring it back. This simple act of returning again and again is the essence of awareness. It is training the mind to stay awake, to stay conscious. As awareness deepens, you begin to see that your thoughts are not who you are. They are simply passing clouds. Emotions are not your identity. They are waves that rise and fall. You are the observer behind it all, the calm beneath the movement. This realization changes everything. You stop being a prisoner of your mind and become the master of it. You learn that no matter what happens outside, your inner stillness remains untouched. That stillness becomes your strength. Through awareness, you also develop compassion, not only for others, but for yourself. When you see your patterns clearly, you stop condemning yourself for them. You begin to understand that every reaction, every emotion, every decision was born from a certain state of consciousness. You forgive yourself, and through that forgiveness, you grow. Compassion expands your awareness further, allowing you to see the humanity in others, to listen without judgment, to act without ego. Awareness does not make life easier, it makes it clearer. When you are aware, you cannot hide from your truth anymore. Your habits, your attachments, your fears, your desires all come into light. But this clarity is a gift, because once you see, you can choose. You can choose differently. You can choose consciously. And with every conscious choice, you step closer to mastery. True awareness is not something that happens once. It is cultivated every day. It is found in the quiet moments of reflection, in the way you breathe, walk, and speak. It is in how you listen, how you respond, and how you care. The path of awareness never ends, because it is life itself unfolding through you. So, if you wish to unlock your full potential, begin here, not by adding more to your life, but by seeing more clearly what is already within it. Every breath you take, every thought you notice, every emotion you observe brings you one step closer to the truth of who you are. Awareness is not the destination. It is the light that guides you on the journey towards self-mastery. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you wish to become. It is the invisible thread that connects your thoughts to your actions and your actions to your destiny. Without discipline, awareness remains only a beautiful idea, fragile, fleeting, and easily forgotten. Discipline is what gives awareness form and strength. It is the force that turns understanding into transformation. Many people mistake discipline for restriction, for something that takes away freedom. But the truth is the opposite. Discipline creates freedom. It gives you the ability to choose rather than be driven by impulse. It allows you to command your body, your emotions, and your mind, instead of being ruled by them. A person without discipline is like a leaf in the wind, moved by every gust of desire, fear, and distraction. A person with discipline, however, is like a rooted tree, steady, calm, and unmoved by the storm. Discipline begins with small acts. It is not about doing everything at once. It's about doing one thing with full commitment. When you wake up and choose to follow through on what you said you would do, you strengthen the muscle of self-trust. Every promise kept to yourself builds confidence, and confidence fuels more discipline. it becomes a cycle of empowerment. Discipline is not a punishment, it is a form of self-respect. It's saying to yourself, I am worthy of consistency. I am worthy of keeping my word. There will be days when motivation disappears. You will not always feel inspired, and you will not always feel strong. That is where discipline shows its true power. Motivation may start the journey, but discipline keeps you walking when the path grows steep. It is the quiet voice that whispers, keep going, when your mind screams to stop. The beauty of discipline is that it doesn't depend on how you feel. It depends on what you decide. Feelings are temporary, decisions are powerful. Consider the training of the body. To build strength, one must push beyond comfort. Muscles grow only when they are challenged. The same principle applies to the mind. Mental discipline develops when you do what is difficult, when you stay focused despite distraction, when you remain patient despite frustration. Every time you choose structure over chaos, you sharpen the mind. Every time you resist temptation and hold your focus, you reclaim control over yourself. In discipline, there is also balance. It is not about forcing or punishing yourself. It is about alignment. When discipline is guided by awareness, it becomes graceful. You begin to understand when to push and when to rest, when to act and when to be still. True discipline is not rigid. It flows like water but maintains its direction like a river. It adapts without losing purpose. There will be moments of failure. You will miss a step, lose focus, fall short. But discipline is not measured by perfection. It is measured by return. The strength lies not in never falling, but in always standing back up. Every time you return to your path, after being distracted, your discipline deepens. Each failure becomes fuel for growth. Discipline teaches patience. The understanding that mastery is built one day, one breath, one decision at a time. The external world often tests your discipline. Distractions call out constantly. Comfort, entertainment, instant pleasure. The world rewards quick results. But discipline teaches delayed gratification. It reminds you that real growth takes time. The seed must stay buried in darkness before it can rise to light. The person you are becoming is formed in those unseen moments when you choose focus over comfort, purpose over pleasure, persistence over giving up. Discipline is also the foundation of peace. When your actions align with your intentions, the mind becomes quiet. There is no inner conflict because you are living in integrity. You no longer waste energy in guilt or regret because your choices are deliberate. Discipline brings order to chaos. It brings structure to energy. It transforms confusion into clarity. Through discipline, you start to see the deeper connection between your habits and your destiny. What you do every day shapes who you are becoming. Small actions repeated with consistency build immense power. Just as water, drop by drop, can carve through stone, your disciplined actions carve the path toward mastery. It is not the grand gestures that change you. It is the daily commitment to improvement, no matter how small. And yet, discipline without awareness becomes harsh. Discipline guided by ego leads to exhaustion. That is why it must always be infused with mindfulness. When you act with awareness, discipline becomes an act of love, not control. You train not because you must, but because you honor yourself. You stay consistent not out of fear of failure, but out of respect for your potential. Discipline and awareness together form the essence of mastery, structure, and consciousness moving as one. The transformation that comes through discipline is quiet but profound. Over time, you begin to notice how much stronger you've become, not just physically or mentally, but spiritually. You react less, you resist less, and you focus more. You no longer run from difficulty. You meet it with calm determination. You start to live with purpose instead of impulse, direction instead of distraction. That is the true gift of discipline. When you embody discipline, every area of life begins to change. Your relationships deepen because you show up with consistency. Your mind sharpens because you use it with intention. Your heart steadies because you no longer chase every fleeting emotion. Discipline gives structure to your dreams, form to your goals, and strength to your purpose. And so, the path of self-mastery demands that you cultivate this power daily, not through pressure, but through presence. Every choice, every practice, every act of commitment refines you. The body becomes stronger, the mind steadier, the spirit clearer. In that state of harmony, you no longer need to force discipline. It becomes who you are. When discipline becomes your nature, you stop struggling against yourself. You move with purpose, live with clarity, and act with power. This is when the door to your true potential begins to open, silently, naturally, and completely. Balance is the quiet art of harmony, the ability to move through life with steadiness, no matter how strong the winds of change may blow. It is not about living a life free from extremes. It is about learning to walk between them with grace. Without balance, even the most disciplined mind can crumble under pressure, and even the most aware spirit can lose its direction. Balance is what keeps you aligned when the world around you seems to shift endlessly. In every aspect of life, there exists a rhythm, a constant flow between effort and rest, strength and softness, holding on and letting go. Yet most people live on one side of this rhythm, constantly striving, constantly doing, until they burn out. They confuse movement with progress and effort with purpose. But balance teaches that there is power not only in doing, but also in being. Just as day cannot exist without night, action cannot exist without stillness. To truly master yourself, you must learn when to act with intensity and when to withdraw into silence. The human mind has a tendency to chase extremes. It either runs too fast, fueled by ambition and desire, or it stops completely, paralyzed by doubt or exhaustion. Balance is the bridge that connects these states. It allows you to move forward without losing peace and to rest without losing purpose. The key lies in awareness, to feel when your energy rises and when it fades, to sense when your efforts are aligned and when they are forced. Life itself is your teacher, constantly showing you where balance is missing. When you feel tension, imbalance has entered. When you feel flow, alignment has returned. Think of nature, the perfect mirror of balance. The waves of the ocean do not fight the tide. They rise and fall in harmony. The trees bend with the wind, and that is why they do not break. The sun and moon alternate their rule of the sky, and the world remains in rhythm. You too are part of that rhythm. When you resist the natural flow of life, you create friction. When you align with it, you create harmony. Balance is not found by controlling every outcome, but by learning to adapt with calmness to every moment that unfolds. To cultivate balance, you must first recognize where it is missing. Are you always working and never resting? Always giving but never receiving? Always speaking but never listening? These imbalances may seem small, but over time, they drain your energy and dull your clarity. The journey toward balance begins with noticing. Noticing when your body feels tired, when your thoughts become restless, when your emotions grow heavy. These are not weaknesses, they are signals. They are your body's way of whispering, slow down, breathe, return to center. In moments of imbalance, silence becomes your ally. Sit quietly without trying to fix or force anything. Just breathe and observe. The breath is the bridge between the body and the mind. When you breathe deeply and consciously, the mind slows, the body softens, and balance begins to return. The breath reminds you that balance is not something to chase. It is something to allow. It is already there, waiting beneath the noise. Balance is also emotional. When anger arises, it is easy to let it consume you, to react with words or actions you later regret. When fear appears, it is easy to retreat into comfort. But emotional balance teaches you to pause between feeling and reaction, to hold space for the emotion without letting it define you. When you can observe emotion without drowning in it, you have found true balance. It doesn't mean you suppress what you feel. It means you give it the right place and the right proportion. You allow emotion to visit, but not to stay. There is also the balance between self and others. Many people spend their lives trying to please everyone, giving endlessly until they have nothing left for themselves. Others become so focused on their own growth that they forget connection. Real balance lies in both. Caring for others while nurturing yourself. You can give fully only when your own cup is not empty. To serve the world, you must first find peace within yourself. The same principle applies to ambition. There is nothing wrong with striving for success, but when ambition is not balanced by contentment, it becomes greed. When you learn to enjoy the process as much as the result, you align with balance. You stop rushing toward the next goal and start living in each step. Balance turns success into fulfillment because it teaches you that achievement means nothing without inner peace. Through balance, the body also finds harmony. The body is not separate from the mind. It mirrors your inner state. If your mind is restless, your body becomes tense. If your thoughts are scattered, your posture collapses. When you train the body through mindful movement, breathing, or stillness, you train the mind as well. The balance of body and mind is the foundation of strength. You move with control, you act with awareness, and you rest with intention. In a world that constantly demands more, balance becomes an act of rebellion. It is choosing peace over pressure, clarity over chaos, and depth over distraction. It is the courage to say no when everything around you pushes you to say yes. Balance does not mean doing less. It means doing what matters with full presence. When you live with balance, your actions carry more precision, your thoughts carry more clarity, and your heart carries more peace. The deeper your balance grows, the more life flows effortlessly. Challenges no longer shake you as they once did. You begin to trust the rhythm of your journey, the ups, the downs, the pauses in between. You stop fighting the waves and start moving with them. And in that flow, you find strength without strain, progress without pressure, peace without passivity. Balance is not a destination. It is a continuous dance. Every moment is an opportunity to adjust, to return, to center yourself again. It requires patience, humility, and awareness, but the reward is freedom, freedom from extremes, freedom from chaos, freedom from the pull of opposites. It is in balance that you discover stability, clarity, and grace. When you find that state where your actions arise from calmness, your rest is filled with purpose, and your emotions flow without control, that is balance. That is mastery. And in that mastery, you finally walk through life, not as someone trying to control it, but as someone in harmony with it. So when you step onto the path of self-mastery, understand this: you are not here to escape life, but to engage with it more fully. The obstacles you face are not barriers. They are invitations. Every challenge is a mirror reflecting your inner world, and through them, you evolve. Your potential is not something to be discovered. It is something to be unlocked. And the key has always been in your hands: awareness, discipline, balance, emotional intelligence, presence, and transformation. Walk this path with courage, consistency, and compassion. Because once you master yourself, you master everything around you. The journey within is the greatest journey of all. And it begins the moment you decide to take the first step.